So the reason for this webinar today was to just kind of get you guys all familiar with Valor Gutter Guards. Many of you have already sold it before. You're well versed on what Valor Gutter Guards is all about. I'm going to go over the specification sheet just to give some general information. Talks about Valor, why we're kind of up in the topper echelon of gutter guards, and what makes us a little bit better than the competitors out there. I'm not going to go too much into installation, although I will show some installation stuff in this process because the salespeople really need to know part of the installation process in order to get a good, accurate estimate on a house. So the product specifications for this product, we are Valor Gutter Guards. It's made with a 304 stainless steel screen and an 020 cold rolled aluminum frame. That cold rolled aluminum is the same aluminum we use for roof kits or roof caps. Those are 50-year items that we're all familiar with if you've ever worked on roofs. The screen area on the gutter guard is specific to this guard for siphoning purposes. So you'll notice that it's smaller than most screens out there, and there's the reason that is because the frame underneath gives it a siphoning system that is unmatched by any other gutter guard out there. The louver frame underneath the screen creates that siphoning. The design on top also does that. So the design creates surface tension, and then the frame underneath creates a 10 times more surface tension, so the water can fall freely through it. Now, most of your frame products have a base to them. It's a floor. Water drops through, it lands on the next level, and then it finds a hole and finds its way out. You'll see these on stamped products or extruded products. You'll see it on things like leaf relief, bulldog, things like that. So those stamped products, they aren't bad products, but they just seem to hold water longer, and as a result, some of the silt and pollen can be captured on those decks. And when the silt and pollen's captured, it turns into organic growth over time, and we want to avoid that, obviously. With the micro mesh that we use, we have a 40 mesh standard, and we have a large mesh, which is 24 mesh. Now, with the standard mesh, we're using a 0.007 wire, which has 1,600 holes per square inch. We may move to a 30 mesh later in the year for our standard mesh, so just keep that in mind. The 30 mesh would give it a little bit more water flow while keeping it fine enough to keep it as keeping the pine needles and all that kind of stuff out. It's just slightly larger than the 40 mesh as far as the hole sizes go. The 24 mesh is a 0.009 wire that has 576 holes per square inch. That one's going to be more of your high flow area, probably what we use the most. It's more universal throughout the country for any kind of environment for high flow water. The finer mesh, we use those in areas where obviously we see ash pines, things where we have smaller debris, oak trees, things like that. Scroll up. Again, the exposed area of the screen, most of your water goes into that screen area in the first inch on that screen. If you've ever done a water test before, you're probably well aware of that. This gutter guard should only be installed at between an 11 and a 19 degree pitch. If you have to go flat, you can. Just make sure you're informing your customers that when you put it in flat, there is a little bit of maintenance involved in brushing it off once in a while, because things, obviously, when the wind stops and the rain stops, if it's sitting flat, the debris stops. So you want to keep that in mind while you're talking to your customers. We have the bent wing product, which is what you guys use, and we also have the flat wing product available to you, but you guys focus on the bent wing. So I'm gonna try to stick to the bent wing installations and things that are pertaining to that product. The bent wing product is the most universal. You tend to use more custom sizes in your region. So when you're doing a custom size, we'll get into how to do a proper measurement. So if you run into a box gutter, a commercial gutter, we can make custom sizes for those, as you're well aware. The 304 stainless steel. The reason they call it 304 is the amount of nickel and that's in the product. So it's giving it its resistance to corrosion. You shouldn't get any discoloration or screen or rust on any of the parts of our products. They should fare very well in any environment, pretty much. So unless you're on the ocean, right on the edge of the ocean, you're still not going to have too much of a problem. But you might we might consider doing some other things to give it an extra barrier. With the wind resistance, it'll take about 110 mile an hour wind resistance, but with the bent wing, that's about double. So you can actually say it's higher than that. The 110 is for our least is our threshold, where the guard that goes underneath the shingle will handle 110, but if you're putting on the bent wing, it'll actually go much higher. The fire rating is a Class A fire compliance. It meets WUI standards, which is Wildland Urban Interface. We've talked about that before with a lot of our clients. What that is a standard that insurance companies are driving for the Wildland Urban Interface. That's where forest meets cities or up into the forest areas. They're considered Wildland Urban Interface compliant. They need to be Class A fire compliant because of the insurance companies, maybe not necessarily because of Department of Forestry in like Vermont or Boston or Vermont or Massachusetts. But the insurance companies will require that in those areas eventually. It's already happened all along the West Coast for the WUI compliance for the insurance companies. People will get their insurance canceled if they don't have something that is fire resistant on their house. So what this means for the gutter guard industry is we're going to end up having customers that are calling us to remove plastic gutters, things like leaf filter and guards that you buy at, say, Home Depot. They aren't going to pass compliance, so the insurance company is going to make them put a metal guard on in order to be in compliance and keep their homeowners insurance. The reason why it's gotten so serious with the insurance companies is obviously because of the claims, and the claims are widespread now. They've got them in North Carolina. They've got them in Florida. Florida just had an Everglade wildfire, of all things, fire burning on the water. New Jersey has had wildfires. They're spread all across the Midwest in smaller places. Ohio's been hit with this. So if you just look up Wildland Urban Interface and its rules for Vermont or for Massachusetts, you're gonna get the information that's on that. I use ChatGPT for that, and you can get that information. It's a really good selling tool. Hey, if you're putting a plastic guard on your house, it's probably a good idea not to do that, because the insurance companies are going to come back at you in a couple of years and tell you got to pull it off and put something on that's fire rated. And we happen to already have that, so do you. The flow rating is about 44 inches of rain an hour. Again, that S curve on the gutter guard, the screen it creates surface tension, so water falls through it automatically. But when you put something underneath it, kind of like when it's you're up camping and you got a tent up and it starts raining, you get a little puddle on top of your tent and it's got a slow drip. But if you touch that slow drip with your finger, it'll just pour right through the tent. That's surface tension. That's what that's doing. So while that frame is touching the screen underneath, it's causing that water to fall through much quicker, and we can get a much higher volume of water through that guard in a much smaller area of screen, which makes it, bar none, one of the best gutter guards out there. Now, these other companies that have these guards that have a frame, they have the same siphoning idea, even with a flat screen. But the problem is they have those trays, and if the trays holes don't take enough water, you're going to get overflow and also get that standing water I talked about earlier. The snow load for these is about 125 pounds, but with the bent wing, again, it's going to hold a lot more snow load than will the flat wing that goes underneath the shingle. And again, we're using our lowest common denominator for what our products are. We try not to use the highest, because if the one that has the lowest obviously fails, then we've misrepresented ourselves. So we try to keep that at the lowest common denominator. Go ahead and turn to the next slide. So NCR used to be gutterprotectionreview.org. This is a company that used to rate gutter guards. They were actually picked up by the Consumer Reports and took their ratings from them at one point. But once they compromised their integrity, that website went down. But before it did, we were the #1 rated gutter guard in the country. And so just so you know, that you're still dealing with that same, we're still the #1 rated gutter guard in the country. I don't think there's anybody out there that can beat us. You know, I've often talked about doing a gutter guard derby and trying to get that documented in a better way for now, instead of you know, what, because it used to be, we used to have that third-party endorsement. We don't have it anymore. So and it's the guy lost his credibility when he started selling leads. So go to the next slide. So this is basically what the retrofit list is for California, that is now sweeping the nation for the wildland urban interface stuff. I'll include this info for you. I'm not going to go too much into it because it's not going to pertain to you as much at this moment, but it is something you'll want to use in your sales kit if you're going up against somebody with a plastic guard or a guard that has plastic attached to it, because they are going to become obsolete over time. Next slide. This is the ASTM is what it's rated with. So we meet ASTM, American Society for Testing of Materials, E84 and E2768 testing. This has been through a rigorous test with a burn testing. It's done a 30-minute burn test. What that means is they basically put fire to the gutter guard and check it to make sure that it doesn't disfigure or burn for that 30 minutes. And if you pass that test, then obviously you pass the ASTM fire test. Now, there's a lot of guards out there that are trying to get this certification going on. I believe there's only 2 at this point, us and one other guard. And that other guard, one of the other things you got to think about is, does it hold debris on top? So if you're, because ours is put in an 11 to 19 degree pitch, it sheds debris optimally, which means you're not going to have a lot of debris stuck on top of it. If you do, if it burns, it's not going to get through and it's not going to get underneath the shingles. It's going to burn that fuel that's on top and then it's gone. If it's inside the gutter, many times that kindling, because there's much more of it, it will catch fire up underneath the shingle and then get through the venting system and take the house. And so that's why we had these tested and are trying to get people informed about this before it becomes a state regulation or law like it has already in California. And again, this is sweeping all across the country. Most of the states that are in the country, if you're in a heavy WUI territory, you'll see that you guys 60 to 82% in Vermont, and you're in the 30 to 45% in Massachusetts. So you guys are in heavily rated areas for the wildland urban interface, which means you're going to need those products over time, even though it might not be prevalent right now, and they're not making a big deal. Like I said, it's nation, it's going to hit you, and when it does, you want to be prepared, and you can preemptively win deals that you wouldn't probably win before because you have that tool in your tool belt. So let's go to the next slide. This was Ohio Capital Journal. This is when it hit Ohio. A lot of insurers were dropping insurance in Ohio. Ohio is not a wildfire state, but they're all in WUI territories. Up to, I believe, 56% of the properties are in wildland urban interface. So they're getting hit with these insurance problems to, hey, you got to put these home hardening products on your house, or we're gonna shut you down as far as homeowners insurance goes. Now, that doesn't just affect us. That affects the mortgage industry. That affects loans and finance. It affects a lot of different areas. Real estate obviously comes into play because now people have to self-insure and things like that. So if you don't have the money you can't buy that house. So if it's home hardened, it might go up for sale, and a company might insure that mortgage. So it's important that that you know those things. The next slide. These are the two at the top are the ones that we currently use. The 16 mesh has been discontinued. I think I've made everybody pretty well aware of that. So I just wanted to put it up there so you can see that, hey, this one's gone. The 24 mesh and the 40 mesh are what we sell now. And again, that 40 mesh may be turning into 30 mesh here in the near future. It most likely is. But I'll get you guys informed on that as that approaches later in the year, which is towards the very end of the year. So this is just a pitch sheet. It talks about you guys do a bent wing product, so the pitch sheet doesn't matter as much to you, other than when you put a bent wing in, you want to give it a little pitch so that the gutter, so that the debris sheds.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Going back to the screens. And there, yeah. So where is leaf filter?
Leaf filter is an 80 mesh.
An 80 mesh. So comparatively, guys, it's a much, turn that into a selling feature right there.
It's super fine screen. In fact, they're testing different mesh sizes around the country right now. I think in California they're trying to use like a 60 mesh, and in Southern California I've seen 50 mesh. So they're not sure where the sweet spot is. We've been doing this for so long and tested it so many times that we've kind of found the sweet spots. 24,
so John, 30. Our issue is going to be the pine needles. It's already an issue with the 40 mesh sticking out of them.
You must have the ash fir.
Sure, sounds right.
Okay, yeah, because the ash fir are real small. They're about a half inch long. They're really small. Is that the one you're talking about?
I'm not even sure.
Okay.
I just know we've had a few complaints recently.
Okay.
About it.
And they're sticking up in it?
Yep.
That's really unusual for 40 mesh. That's it. The pine needle must be really super thin. Can you say, if you get some pictures of that, send it to me.
Okay.
Because I need to see that. That's gonna make a difference on whether or not they do something.
Derek said it's Eastern white pine.
Eastern white pine. Okay.
You would know better than me.
Manuel, can you write that down? Yeah, we'll make a note of that. We'll look it up and do some research.
Okay.
Yeah. So you don't have to worry about it right now. We've got enough 40 mesh to last us until next year. So go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is just your standard pitch chart. You know, I usually share the pitch chart when we're doing flat wing and bent wing, because you can go underneath the shingle with a flat wing up to a 512 pitch. Above that, you don't want to do that. So since you guys use bent wing, it really doesn't pertain. Go to the next slide. Go to the next slide. These are just installations. You'll see that seam there. The reason we do the seam that way, which is a bend down method, is to prevent drips. If you ever see a drip at a seam, it's usually because you have a little bit of screen that's smashed in between the frame, or if it's not cut back enough, or if you put caulking in the seam like this one was. Yeah, you can generate your own drip with the caulking. So I usually recommend, if you're going to caulk the seams, to not put it all the way up to the frame. Just you come up just short of the frame so that the water will still stay in the gutter. Because what you do is the water will just run along the silicone there. I like to tell the salespeople this because they need to know what to look for if they get a complaint. They need to understand that if the seams are done right and the corners are done right and the end caps are done right, you should not get a drip if they're pitched properly. Do you
guys recommend the caulking every joint?
You know, it depends. So if I leave a gap, if I have a bad bend and it's just not a good enough pressure seal, I'll put a bead of caulking in there. If there's a gap in the back behind the gutter, like that one had, then I'll fill that little gap in just to keep embers out, because it's important in California. It's more important in California right now. But yeah, as good installation practices, I would always, if there's a gap, there's an opening to put a little bit of caulk in there. Do not drag your finger down the caulking. Just let it go in naturally. If you drag your finger down the caulking, you're going to make a little gully, and that water is going to move along that gully. And if you pull that all the way out to the front, it'll just run right down to the front. So you want it to break side to side. So if you leave a natural bead there, you're fine. And even if it's not perfect, it's okay to have with the natural bead. You don't want to try to stuff it in there. So if you're doing a custom gutter, half round, box gutter, K-style, you guys you use a lot of custom, so I'm sure you're well aware of this. You need, if you see on that blue diagram, the blue side of that diagram, it needs to be at least a ½ inch clearance above the gutter on the back side of the gutter for you to mount that bent wing product. So you want to make sure that ½ inch exists. If it doesn't, you'd have to consider lowering the gutter if you're going to use bent wing. Some guys will put it in flat. They'll cut that bent wing piece off, and they'll lay it flat on the gutter. You can do that. It's okay to do. Again, you got to inform the customer that, hey, this is going to be on there flat, and you will have maintenance once or twice a year, depending on how much debris you have there. It's still going to work efficiently as far as water intake and keeping the debris out of the gutters and keeping it unclogged. But aesthetically, obviously, you're going to have some things on top of it. Much like with the pine needles, when the porcupines are sticking in there, gutter guard's still working fine. It's just usually aesthetically it doesn't look as good. With the box gutters, with the I don't know if you guys have fascia style gutters. We have them all over here. We have a hodgepodge of gutters here in California, so because of all the custom homes and stuff. So we run into everything you know out there on the market. We can also do, like with the commercial box, I can do a gutter guard up to, I think the biggest one I've done has been 26 inches. So wide. So we can make gutter guards bigger if you do have a commercial box gutter that's 10 to 12, even 15 inches wide. It's not a problem. We can custom make those if you run into that. That again on the bent wing product, when you're doing an inside measurement, you want from the back of the gutter to the inside lip of the gutter, because there's a little puzzle piece on the front of that frame that you'll notice sits down below the gutter lip when you install the gutter guard. And if you're staying at that pitch that I recommended, you're fine with your gutter guard, keeping the water in the gutter. If you go above that 19-degree pitch, that little puzzle piece it starts to lean up above the lip, and the water can go around underneath the gutter and out the front. So you want to make sure you stay at that 19 or lower. When you're doing your inside measurement, wherever you're going to mount the back of that gutter guard to is where you want to take your measurement from. So if you're a salesperson, you're out there and you see there's 3-inch clearance, and you obviously don't have to put it in flat. You want to kind of eyeball where you think the installer will want to mount that so that it stays at that 11 to 19 degree pitch. And 11 to 19 degrees is 312 to 512. So just if you need a ballpark or an item to eyeball it, it should be pretty easy for you if you've done this a little bit. If you're brand new, have one of your guys show you what to do. Once you get that measurement, you're going to measure it down to that inside lip, and that's your measurement. You'll want to measure it in more than one place, because sometimes gutters, I've seen guys put 3-inch gutter hangers or 4.5-inch gutter hangers on a 5-inch gutter. Depending, they'll have 2 different sizes on there, and they'll have it pulled in on one place and pushed out on the other. Hopefully you don't run into that for a retrofit and you're just putting them on new gutters. But if you do run into that, just make sure you get a couple measures to make sure it's consistent. Half rounds, it's happens more prevalently to be an abstract or a different size gutter on the inside. They don't usually, they're more custom fit than most other gutters. Go to the next slide. So if you do have a custom gutter guard, you guys already have your method of doing your diagrams. So this doesn't make as much, but if you need one to for when you're out on the job site to write the measurement down so that your guy back at the office can write it up properly, I can provide these for you as well. And you just write your measurement in there and you're good to go. This is how, what I was talking about. So if it's going to sit at an angle, you want to measure with the angle. If you measure it straight back, you're not going to get the right measurement. Next. This is just a quick installation video of the bent wing product. I just want you to see it so that you can understand what they're doing here. This guy is basically folding. He's folding the tabs in. I like to cut them off, and then you'll press it together to make your pressure seal. And many of you guys have probably, your installers have probably already watched these videos. I just want the salespeople to see it so you can understand what they're going through and what they're doing on the roof. Pretty simple, but if you're not handy with what you're doing, it can be kind of a problem. The guy who does the install on this video goes too far with that caulking. He's supposed to stop a little bit shorter of that metal, but I just want you to be aware that if you see caulking on the front part of the frame from the back to the front, on that front edge, make sure it's if you have a drip, that's probably what it is. This is obviously an install that you've probably seen this picture on our website. It's just a basic flat wing install on a metal roof. Metal roofs, you're going to run into a lot of, you'll run into the corrugated. Obviously, the standing seam is the most common. Water skirts off it a lot faster. So I tend to use the larger mesh with the metal roofs because of the speed of the water. And you want to keep that in mind when you're doing a house or doing an estimate on a house. Is this one going to need large mesh? Is it going to need standard mesh based on the speed of the water? They both take the same amount of water. They just take them at different speeds. And so the faster the moving water, obviously the larger the holes need to be in order to take the water faster. Next. This is an example of a seam where the guy put the caulking in the seam and he shouldn't have put the caulking in that portion of the seam. You would want to stop it right before there. But you notice he did do it right in the middle. He lost a little bit, left a little bit of a gap, and that's okay. I'd rather have him do that than try to stuff it in there with his finger and create a mess. That's an idea of a perfect seam. That one's nice and clean, doesn't need any caulk. It's got a perfect seal. This is on a tile roof, obviously. We run into a lot of this in California, where the tiles are hanging out way over the gutter. In many cases, the water doesn't even hit the gutter because the tiles are hanging too far over. And it doesn't matter what you do, whether you have a gutter guard on there or not. And many times, I think with this one, they ended up changing it out to a 6-inch gutter rather than a 5 because it was too short. Another metal roof, same thing. This one they installed flatter because they don't have a lot of debris around this house, but it's more for fire mitigation. And so you have them installing it flat. That's what's going to capture the maximum amount of water without having any issues. You can go to the next one. Go ahead and scroll to the next. And the next. These are just examples. This is where the high flow inside miter is. This has been on this house for about 6 years. I go out every once in a while and take a picture of it. When they did it, they put the caulking on that seam. They messed it up, which is why you can see it's kind of dug out there. It's got a little gap there. I opened it up and just so that it won't collect water in that, stays on top. That's just an outside corner of the same house. Next. Keep going. Yeah. So this is the high flow inside miter. You guys, I'm not sure if you use them or not, but if you end up in a situation where you have a fast moving flange, W flange over the porch or back entranceway, a lot of people have a problem with obviously water going over while it's raining, so they can exit their house without getting wet, or at least not get a waterfall on their head. These tend to work pretty well. I usually use diverters with these. You'll put 3 sets of diverters if you have the fast moving water in order to slow it down. if you are in that situation, I can certainly do a class on that for the installers if you guys need to see how that method is done. There's also a thing called the Valley Guard, which is a rubber mat that actually goes in that that inside corner and slows the water down so that you don't have any overshoot at all. It's very low profile, about a 1/4 inch high, and but it's just there to slow the water down. It's got little louvers on it, and I can show you what that looks like at the end here. That's just another copy of the inside. Go to the next one. This is on the back of that same house. Next one. And that's another inside miter. Next. Sorry, there was a few pictures in here I probably should have pulled out. This is just how a standard end cap might look if you want it really custom. This is somebody who took a piece of flat stock or guttering material and made their own. I thought it was pretty nice, so I threw it in there so you guys can see it. Next. This is another style of end cap. This is to keep the water in so that it doesn't obviously go around the edges. Sometimes when guys put those in, depending on the type of roof it is, they might get a little bit of a drip on the end cap, and this guy does them this way so he avoids any kind of dripping. And this is another style of end cap that we do. So there's lots of different ways to install the gutter guard properly. This particular end cap is my least favorite because they put a screw in the side of the gutter, and I don't like that method. This is our standard regular. That's what our diverters kind of look like. So our diverter set is a makeshift end cap. So if you guys ever want to put a nice finishing end cap on there, the diverter makes a good end cap. Next. So let's talk about dry area under the awnings and things like that. So if you see an awning like this and you're putting a gutter guard underneath it, what happens, especially with the 40 mesh, you're going to have water go over a dry screen. Anybody knows that if you're using a micro mesh, if the screen's dry, the water's going to go over the top of it for a little bit until it gets saturated, and then the water will penetrate. And sometimes it's kind of like siphoning again. It'll keep following that for a longer period of time than you want it to. So what we do, and see, obviously you're not going to install a mister under every single one of those so that every time it rains you put mist on it. But we use a device called the ice melt product. It's not necessarily for ice, but the device itself is supposed to cover a cable, but it also acts as a break for dry screen areas like this if you run into it. Because what's going to happen is it's going to start raining, and that first 20 minutes is going to hit that dry screen. It's going to go over. It's going to land on probably that pillow box that's sitting there next to the fireplace in that picture. They probably keep all their cushions in there in the wintertime so that they don't get damaged. And of course, if your gutter guard's overflowing onto that chest, it's going to get into their pillows and things like that. And they're not going to be happy. Plus, they're going to see water coming over the edge, and obviously that's a problem too. So, if you use the ice melt product underneath those dry areas, it's just basically a 4-foot piece. Let me pull it out here. It looks like this. Can you move? Are you moving the camera?
Yeah, they can see it.
Oh, they can see it? Okay. I'll say it looks like this. All the screw holes are in the same place as on the guard. And so you just loosen the screw, slide it underneath, and then tighten them back down. And this sits flat on the screen, or this sits down on the screen. And so when water comes down, instead of going over the edge, it stops and goes in on the dry screen areas. It does catch a little bit of debris. You'll just want to make people aware of that. You're trying to remedy a situation. When you remedy something with water, you create a new problem every single time. That's why when we wanted to fill the gaps with caulking, when we did a seam, we realized, oh man, if we put caulking in there, now water comes out the front. So now we have to figure out how to put caulking in there without water coming out the front. And so so there's little caveats you got to know in order to make gutter guards work efficiently sometimes, so you don't get those callbacks. And that's really what it's all about: putting it in one time and not getting a callback.
All right.
Next we have, this is just another awning showing that same dry area. I'm going to show you a couple other examples of where you might hit a dry area as well. Go ahead and scroll. So you'll see on this house, it's got that gabling in front of the front door. You'll notice those blue lines on that roof. So if I was using diverters, I would put diverters on that roof in those areas for that inside corner coming off, because that whole entire roof is coming down to that little area. I would want to slow the water down if it's moving too fast there. Also, where you see that blue line underneath, you have those gutters do not have a downspout. It's emptying out onto the roof, so you're going to have a higher flow of water coming down the roof right there. And depending on how much water it catches, and it's really a judgment call based on your experience. So if you're new at this, you might want to ask one of your buddies that's done these before. You want to slow that water down. If it's moving too fast, you might get a little overshoot there. Many people would put a splash guard there, and I'll show you what that looks like on the next slide, I think. No, this is downspouts where they would empty out. So you'll see downspouts come from the upper roof, and so you'll get a much higher flow of water there. You'll want to compensate with large mesh there if you can, depending on again the debris. If there's a debris issue like the white pines that you're talking about, or white fir that you're talking about, you might put a splash guard there instead. However, again, when you redirect the water, you're going to create another problem. So if you put a splash guard there, you're going to catch material. Obviously, that's got to be serviced. There are a couple other methods we can talk about that we can fix, but that's something I'll talk about with you later, because those products aren't available yet. Next. All right, so this is another example where they have the gable over the door, and then if you don't put those splash guards there, those planters down below are going to get watered on a regular basis when it's raining. So you don't want to ruin people's plants, obviously. What you can do is where those blue lines are, is I put diverters there to redirect the water outward away from the dry area part of the screen. And if you do that, it'll slow that water down enough to where it'll make it in that gutter. There's a couple other ways to do it. Again, on that inside corner, there's 3 sets of diverters there that you can use to slow the water down on the inside corner there. Next slide. This is a little bit more unique. This situation here is you've got a screened area down below there. You have, looks like 3 parts of the roof all empty into that top gutter there. And then you have the inside corner at the same time, and it all empties into that one little spot. So if you put a gutter guard on there, a screened gutter guard, and it's dry underneath that gutter, you might have a overshoot issue, which would run into that screen area and create a problem. So I would put a diverter there to just divert the water to the wet side of the screen. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it would be a good idea to slow the water down in that region, just to make sure that you have an obstruction that's stopping. Next. This is just another idea of diverters. Keep going. And again, next. 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 All right, so a lot of people say that the gutter guard, Valor gutter guards, because some of them go underneath the shingle, will void a roof warranty. They do not. This is the GAF report telling you that they don't. If they're done with good roofing practices, you can put any gutter guard on any roof. It's never has and never will be a problem unless you put a nail in the roof. Like there's some gutter helmets out there that mount to the roof. That's automatically voids a roof warranty. So just keep that in mind. We're sitting on the drip edge 90% of the time with a flat wing. With a bent wing, we're not sitting on it at all. So anybody that comes at you with that kind of stuff, you don't have to worry about it. You have a rebuttal for that. And I can give you a copy of that DAF report for the roofing materials. Next. This is just a high flow inside corner that I was talking about earlier. This is installed. They're going to show you what I meant by placing those diverters. You're basically going to glue them underneath the shingle, and you'll put 3 sets of those. And what that does is it just slows the water down. I put them all the way together, and the reason I do that is because the water will come straight down that center at its fastest point, and you really need them closed to have that stopped and slowed down. What you will get up top, if you put the 3 sets there, you'll get ramping. So just keep in mind, if you're writing up a sale and you're going, okay, I might have a problem with this inside corner, just make sure you include on your estimate that it might need diverters in an inside corner, just so you don't get overshoot. Next. Christmas light clips. If they say, oh, what do I do with my Christmas lights? We do have Christmas light clips that you can install. You can press those shut to make them more permanent. You can also use them at screw sites on the gutter guard to make them more permanent as well. A lot of people just like to slide them under that lip of the frame and then bend them down and hold them lightly so that they can easily remove the lights. However, in places where there's a lot more wind, like some of the places near the coastlines, it's better to have them more secure so that they don't blow off. Next. So Valor Gutter Guards has a lifetime warranty. So the lifetime warranty is for parts only. So just keep that in mind. And when it says no clog warranty, it means the gutter's not going to clog. It doesn't necessarily mean the gutter guard is not going to get stopped up, because we don't have any control over cotton willow trees, certain types of things, sap that might empty out onto the screen. If you do get cotton willow or sap, or you have those, you run into those things under a pine tree where it discharges a lot of sap onto the roof, you'll be able to see that. And so if you see it, just let customers know that every once in a while you might have to hit the screen with WD-40 to get the sap off, and then you'll use Dawn dishwashing soap to wash the WD-40 down. That will get that sap off the gutter guard and make it function properly again. So I don't run into that hardly ever, but it has happened once or twice. So I just like to let people know, especially if we're talking about pine needles in the conversation, that if the tree's hanging over the top and it bleeds like a redwood does, the amount of pine tar that comes off of there, you might consider telling the customer that in that particular spot you'll want to keep an eye out. Next. This is just a copper gutter. We do make copper for gutter guards, or copper gutter guards for copper gutters. They are obviously priced a lot different. They're a lot heavier, and they are special order. So make sure that you give yourself plenty of time after doing an estimate for copper to get those custom made. Next. Next. So this is our sales kits. I don't know if you guys have these or not. I think we've sent them to you every once in a while. I think we've sent the stand-ups to you before without the bag. But if you're taking this into your sales pitch, I like to follow the bullet points that are on the board on that display, and I just go down them one by one and talk about. Now this one says 20-year warranty because it's an old picture. But it's lifetime warranty now with the new materials. So if you ever have any questions on those types of things, you can certainly give us a call. Next. And that is the basics of Valor Gutter Guards. Does anybody have any questions? Chester, you guys have any questions?
Sort of. I would be curious, where do we see like a brochure or paperwork on all these little inside corner
So that's going to be in the
features?
catalogs that I send you guys. So I could send you some more catalogs if you need them. In the back of the catalog, you'll see all the accessories, and you'll see there's a lockwing bracket. What's that?
Oh, I was going to say the only like solution we've ever provided for inside is to do the large mesh Valor, just a couple feet each way. So all these other little features are brand new information for us, something we've never offered or presented.
Yeah, I think you guys have tried to keep it simple. As far as, when you're ordering, you want to make sure you keep it basic and keep it simple. You don't have to have the little caveats. There's other methods that you guys probably use for those types of situations that I'm not aware of, but this is just my basic, when I'm telling people about the product, I give all the basics. And so these are just options, not necessarily have-to things. That makes sense?
Yep.
But as far as the high flow inside miters, I have a lot of people that use the high flow inside miters. They're a 16 mesh, so I'm not sure how well they'll work in your territory, depending on how much fine needles you're dealing with, because a 16 mesh is going to have 800 holes? 16? No, it's going to have 476 holes per square inch, so it's going to be a lot bigger. Pine needles will get through it. It's just meant to collect higher volumes of water at a faster speed.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? No. All right.
No, that's good.
All right. Well, I appreciate your guys' time, and if you need anything, let me know. And I think you guys got some more material on its way right now, and we really appreciate your business and really love working with you guys. I'm in August and September. I'm gonna try to make it out there one of those months. If I do,
Nice.
I will give you a call and see if I can come by and maybe bring you guys lunch or something.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Good to have you do a little talk.
Great.
Yeah. And then if any of you guys think of any other questions you might have, we can certainly address those.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, if you could send this video, that'd be great.
Yep, you got it. And I'll send any of the sales guys, if they're out and they have a question and they can't get a hold of anybody, feel free to call them. I'm usually available. If they want to call me direct on my cell phone, I can give my cell phone, and I can pretty much answer any questions they might come up with.
All right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Sounds good. Any product related questions, don't call me anymore.
All right,
We
you guys.
all love
Well, hey, have a
tomahawk
great day. It
steaks.
was great seeing you. Thanks for everything.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Would you say, Tom?
I said we all like tomahawk steaks.
All right. All
Yeah,
right.
There's my
sounds
first
good.
lunch.
Noted. Noted. Thank you.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
All right, my
Thank
friends.
you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.